How's it going, everybody? It's Ishinigami, and we got another great video for you today. Happy 4th of July for all my American citizens and anybody who really wants to celebrate 4th of July. Really, I don't care. If you want to party, go ahead. Let's do it. And secondly, another little tidbit for me. I follow Geeks and Gamers, and yesterday they got demonetized for some test streaming they were doing the day before. And then they luckily got back to being monetized today, so that's pretty cool. On other news, we got quite a bit of Marvel stuff popping off now that now that you already had Quantumania pass, and then you had the recent basically disaster that's going on right now with Secret Invasion. Let me open one. Don't worry, it's just good old classic Dr. Pepper. That's good. But we have all this stuff coming up with the Marvels. You have cases already where, like in the Secret Invasion show that Disney Plus has airing right now, the director basically was told, don't read the comics, and people are already going to make that issue in the comments or in discussions. Separate universes, they should be treated as much. You don't need to have them crossing paths. But then, when you actually want consistency and good continuity, I would say follow the comics. You know where they fucked up, right? Everybody knows where they started to fuck up with the recent comic book issues. It was around like 2010-ish. And then on top of that, you have directors being told, don't read this, don't read the source material. Actors as well being told, don't read your character, you don't need to know about this, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, you got people that love who they play, like Henry Cavill and what's her name? Wednesday? I can't remember her name. Oh, Jenna Ortega. And when they actually love the characters that they're playing and know who they would be like and how they act, you get such a better portrayal of them, right? As opposed to when you basically flip a script on their actual attributes, make them behave not like how they normally would act, and then just there's a reason why, for instance, maybe some would deny it, but Iron Man worked. It became him, he became the character, and that became the Tony Stark moving forward. He's always been, kind of snarky and an asshole and all that other bullshit, right? But then in the MCU, you saw him grow and get to a point where he would make the sacrifice play. Can we really say that about Carol Danvers, Monica Rambeau, and Ms. Marvel? I forgot her name. Now she seems like a nice girl and all that. I don't know, but she actually knows her comic book lore, right? She's actually invested into this stuff and was correcting Kevin Feige that now the MCU and the actual comic book world, or this one, the 616, and then that the MCU is actually was it 09999 or some bullshit, right? It's like a bunch of fucking nines, right? So you had someone that actually knows their character, and it seems like she's pretty enthusiastic, but coming at the tail end of everything kind of failing, it's not good for her. Obviously, they're basically setting up quite a bit of these new actors to fail. They're not listening to the audience. They're not listening to what the fans wanted, what we would like to see. I think you could still do some of your political shit that you want to put in there, but you would have to dial it back 95%, right? The way that Stan Lee and other creators back then would inject this stuff, it wasn't to basically be a black and white of who this character is. It was just of the time, how they can describe it, right? Maybe that doesn't really make much sense either, but you already know Stan Lee, for instance, his characters, Professor X and Magneto, they are not plays on fucking Malcolm X and Martin Luther, right? They are not. It's just something that people thought, they can compare them to, blah, 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 and it's just y'all are reaching, okay? When you do shit like that, when it's not the creator's intent, you just fuck it all up. And like with the Marvels, right? And even yeah, so this guy, I'll just fucking share it. So you got here, Secret Invasion director didn't think about the Marvels. And I was just like, bro, that's stupid, okay? Just look. This is the part that gets me, right? Where is it? Two down? Oh damn, they really don't have much of this fucking article. Look how tiny that shit is. Anyways. Yeah, it was basically about it's simple. It's just simply, where do you need Fury? You need him here? Great. Then we write that into that. So that kind of stuff is very simple because it's all above my pay grade. I'm just like, what? But then he was like right here, asked precisely because of his work on spycraft historical fiction, but it seems like his focus on the grounded world of the Secret Invasion meant that he didn't think much about the superheroes flying in the rest of the MCU. And it's just like, so you want to create a spy film in a universe with superheroes, but not have any like the other really badass ones kind of pop up, isn't that right? It's a bunch of bullshit, right? Even early MCU still felt more grounded, and you had Thor pop up, right? The way he spoke, the way the technology merged with the futuristic science magically, you know what I mean? It felt real, and a lot of all the practical effects they used back then to achieve such things. And now you have them being so lazy, they don't even consider what's the next step after this? What's after this? How does this connect to this storyline, right? I've always been invested in good storytelling, and when it's done really well, like for instance, Lord of the Rings, right? A common fucking book with good storytelling. There are so many hints and other little tidbits sprinkled across the first, few pages about how they describe certain people. Are they brave? Are they squeamish? Blah blah blah. You get a real feel for Sam and obviously Merry and Pippin now, and just all the characters. You get more of a feel for the Shire, and when you know basically your world, and then you can kind of predict, okay, how is this going to act? How are they going to behave? If this is told, what other characters in that world? You don't have to write that in, but you just have to at least tell like Kevin Feige, who's supposed to be the one that like makes the consistency with the story. Why? What is all that going to go? How is it going to end up being the way it's going to be? They didn't think about that when they did the snap. They were just like, yeah, everybody's going to be depressed, blah, 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 right? But then, since then, the blip has been treated like a fucking joke, okay? It should be way fucking worse than they thought. I mean, the fact that people, they claim, people just got snapped back into safely on the ground. Okay, what about all those people that were either, I'm not trying to call it, I think it was like the babies that just recently got born, stuff like that. Where would they be? You know what I mean? Just other crazy shit that could have happened. People during surgery, disappear. Oh, they have some sharp object. You can't say that nobody got hurt like that. It's just so many little things that they didn't think about the world building for that reason. The blip should have been a shorter time period, or if anything, maybe something else. Because again, they did deviate from the comics, and yes, in the comics, the Soul Stone is able to absorb people and into the Soul World. We didn't get that. So a lot of what they decided to do with Thanos and the whole MCU, it really broke after the Endgame. There's a reason why a lot of these films aren't really working the way they think that they should be working. Because everything is universal scale, actually multiversal scale and bullshit, right? So how is the Marvels gonna be, right? Again, it's labeled. Here, show it. It's labeled as, guess what? Did I fucking pass it? Yeah, right here. It's labeled as a action adventure, just like what? Doctor Strange, Thor: Love and Thunder, Quantumania, and of course, all those have one thing in common. They could have been something else. Excuse me. They could have been so much more. Like for instance, Doctor Strange. It could have been their first horror. Could have been more horror. Yeah, oh, kids are gonna be there. But make it PG-13. You can have more fucking horror aspects into it. I know I've seen some horror movies that are PG-13, right? And it's just like, it's doable, right? You don't have to have all blood and guts and other bullshit like that. But I mean, you already fucking kill people in the fucking MCU as it is, so like, just make it be magic dust. I don't know. And then Thor: Love and Thunder, well, that was just a joke. That should have been more serious. That should have been more heartfelt, and especially if it was going to be a send-off for Chris Hemsworth for the time being. Black Panther, that could have been your spy, that could have been your, espionage style film with Namor and Shuri having to find a black herb, all that bullshit. Quantumania, again, it should have just been smaller scaled. It didn't have to be going into the fucking save the multiverse through the quantum realm. You just did that in Endgame, and you kind of defeat your big bad already by them being defeated by fucking Janet and Ant-Man, Hank, Scott, all of them. So yeah, let's see. I mean, it's disappointing to see when I'm not as invested as I was, but I'm still gonna keep an eye on all this stuff, because the normies and other people that pick up on this, they're like, oh my god, it's so good, it's this and that. It's just like, bitch, they are giving you bottom of the barrel crap, stuff that's been sitting there for ages, right? And then giving it to you on a silver platter, like, here you go, enjoy. I'm just like, no, bitch, I've had better than this before. You used to give us nice 5-star meals. Now you're giving us fucking ramen with little crap at the bottom. Don't get me wrong, ramen's pretty good, but they're not giving you the good kind, alright? They're giving you that foxtail noodles with all the little spikies at the end of it. Yeah, it's not the same, okay? And when more people will actually wake up to realize that the MCU could be so much more, like when you have the anime adapting manga, right? And they actually put in that money, you get some beautiful, beautiful art pieces, right? For instance, Demon Slayer just finished, their Swordsmith arc. Wasn't super duper fucking all out crazy like the previous arc. Doesn't need to be. The characters fight differently based on their breathing style, on who they are. Are they calm? Are they belligerent? Yeah, are they thoughtful about what they're going to be doing? So that's why the Mist user wasn't as flashy as the other dude, the Fire Hashira, right? It's not going to be the same. Or even with the other dude who got poisoned and lost an arm, right? It's just not going to happen. Everybody fights different. Everybody has their own flair. And that show really, really emphasizes that. And then also Jujutsu Kaisen, if y'all saw the movie, fucking Gojo, oof, man, he puts the work on them people, man. And the fact that you get to see all the little punches, all the like turns and this and that, it's just like, so you can get that really good fighting in anime, and then some, because boy, they be launching people, fucking them up, and it's great. You don't get that with the MCU. You don't get that nice crunch when they fucking hit the ground. The fucking blast, it just, you know what I mean? They just, those sound effects, the actually good quality art, it's fucking gone. The Marvels, what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do to impress everybody, right? You got Carol Danvers, Brie Larson, who already feels alienated, and kind of like, you had Samuel L. Jackson kind of stoke the flames already a little bit, and I'm not too sure she's happy about that, because if you had seen her at the D23 or whatever that was past, when she was like, I don't know, does anybody really want to see me play? You know, she was talking to the, you know, co-cast, whatever. And then you got, you know, Monica Rambeau's character, blah blah blah, and it's just like nobody knows who she is, okay? And this is just gonna be like, you know how many people actually watched the WandaVision, and now how long ago it was? You actually expect some people to remember that shit with everybody's short attention span now because of TikTok? No, they're gonna be like, who's this? Huh. And lastly, Miss Marvel. She seems like a sweet girl. I really do mean that. I probably have the least ill will towards any of the MCU characters. It's gonna be her and like Kate Bishop, the only one, like those are the only two that seem like they're kind of grounded, not so fucking like, you know, trying to fan bait, race bait people, or just call them out in stupid ways. But again, I don't think they're not doing her character justice. She's already called them out, saying, hey, her powers aren't the same as they are in the comics, because in the comics she's an Inhuman who basically has like stretchy abilities and other bullshit, right? But in the MCU they made her where she has basically Green Lantern power bangles or power bangle, whatever the fuck. So it's just like, so Shang-Chi or should I say Chai-Ti? Anyways, nah dude, it's just the MCU is not, they don't want to entertain. It's just all talking down to fans. You're this and that. You better follow us still and give us all your money because we fucking need it. No. Unfortunately, I think they have damaged their IPs too much for a good majority of the populace, right? The fact that you have so many people also revolting from like DC and other bullshit. Oh yeah. Now who's to say if it's superhero fatigue or just bad writing fatigue? Because you can see which movies were doing good based on how entertaining they actually are, right? For instance, John Wick. I can say that I love it, but it's not written well. The ending in the middle section has a lot of plot holes that don't get filled. Maybe the runtime could have been a little longer and explained a little bit more. But I understand people's criticism with John Wick 4 because when you really watch the first one, super fucking good, super tight. The second one, it's a little crazy, but it still makes sense. Third one, I thought it was great. I thought it was a pretty good send-off. I knew they were gonna make another one, but you know, so it barely sticks to landing with a sprained ankle, right? You got Mario. That one doesn't have good story at all. I can admit that. But it is entertaining as fuck for kids, adults, finding little Easter eggs, and then basically just as a starting point for a universe, right? They could have done more. I agree. Sorry, I know I'm kind of ranty here. But just all in all, the Marvel could do so much better. It really could. But if they listen to the fans, all these troubles would go away. I don't think they're going to do that. Anyways, that's my long-winded rant. I am so sorry. I hope you all enjoyed. Have a good evening, good night, good morning for my Americans, and happy 4th of July. Enjoy and you know, just be safe out there. See ya.